Hey guys, I'm gonna make this really quick because my cell phone doubles as my baby monitor, but I can't film a video while the baby monitor is going and the baby is sleeping. So we got to get back to the monitor. This is too much time to explain to you. You might have heard me talk about the fact that I want to start a podcast with my dad. It's a podcast. Hi, Icky. Thanks for coming. It's a podcast about parenting with me, a parent, and my parent, my dad. And we kind of like have this sort of generational conversation about all things parenting as they're happening for me as a new parent with my son today, with examples of how my dad was raised and how my dad raised me and what I'm reading on the internet and what he's reading on the internet. Anyway, so much to say. We're practicing. We're trying out the podcast. So my dad and I meet on Thursdays and we film a Google Meet to sort of feel out what the vibe of the podcast is going to be. Here is one of those Google Meets. I decided to post it for you guys to sort of get some feedback. We're looking for title suggestions. Right now, my favorite title is Oh Yeah, Dad. Oh Yeah, Dad. I don't know. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Let me know what you want to see more of. Let me know your title pitches if you have any. We're fielding them. And I'm going to go now so that you can watch this workshop. We'll call it a workshop. It's not the actual podcast launch. It's just a workshop. And we're going to record another one on Thursday. So if you like this, let me know. I'll post that workshop too. And maybe eventually we'll get official about it. Anyway, enjoy. Bye. What? Something weird happened.
Hey, good.
Oh, hi, Dad.
Oh, hey, what's up?
I am exhausted. We have been having a horrible sleep regression in our house.
Sleep regression? Who? You or
All of
Joe
us.
or
Everyone is suffering. The entire neighborhood.
the entire neighborhood?
Yeah. But I was thinking about it. So Billy's 3 months and 6 days old exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been told you cannot sleep train, which is apparently a triggering word, or sleep shape if you're trying not to stress out other moms.
Who is it? Who is sleep train triggering?
I guess a lot of people. Like there's a really weird dynamic within the parenthood community these days.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
So I sent a lot of people what I thought was like an Instagram post yesterday, and some of them my direct message, and you sent back someone's triggered. What? And then nobody reacted to it. Everybody was like awkwardly silent. What what did you see exactly? What did I, was it just a little icon that said photo, or was it actually something with text on it that you could read that was,
So you didn't send it to anyone specifically. You posted it on your story for everyone to see.
and what was it? It was like, was it my bumper stickers thing?
Yeah, you had ideas for bumper stickers and you wanted people to vote on which bumper sticker they liked. And it wasn't, people responded. You had results on it. People responded to you. You just can't tell.
How do you read the results of the poll?
This is embarrassing. I don't know. Ryland has to show me every time I do a poll.
Well, can Ryland show me?
Yeah, we have to get him on the phone. Because I don't know how.
You don't know, can you, in order to get Ryland to help, you need to get him on the phone, and in order to get him on the phone, you need Ryland's help.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a complicated thing.
That's the circle of life.
And I'm tired, so I
You
can't
look,
figure it out right now.
Elizabeth, you look tired. Your
I
father is
am.
concerned. What's going on?
Were you triggered by the word trigger to think about this thing that you posted on Instagram?
Yes. The last two times I've confronted the word triggered in the last 24 hours was just a few moments ago. And then over text last night when you said someone's triggered.
Well, that was my response to your Instagram post because you seemed a little triggered. Do you not know what triggered means?
I know what triggered means. Don't get me started. I know what triggered means.
Oh, he's triggered.
He's triggered. Yeah.
I get triggered as well.
I won't share what the poll was about because it's a little political. And I thought it was funny as hell, but a lot of people may not have thought that. And
Yeah.
so instead of the poll, I took down the poll and I'm writing a poem.
Oh, that's softer.
That's softer.
Do you mind if we get back to sleep training?
And did I trigger you? I'm sorry.
No, I was just trying to keep the topic focused.
Okay, let's stay focused. Let's
But I
try
do think,
let's try staying focused. Let's give it a shot.
God help us. I do think something interesting to talk about in the future will be the generational divide on social media.
That sounds very interesting.
So come back next week while my dad and I both don't know how to use social
But
media.
what does social media have to do with sleep deprivation and sleep training?
I will say this, if I go on social media when I wake up for a nighttime feed, it is much harder for me to go back to sleep afterwards.
Really?
And speaking of triggered, I was up feeding at 3:30 in the morning, replying to comments on YouTube like a maniac. So that was probably not a healthy choice either. Back to the sleep training and sleep shaping.
On topic. Let's focus.
Let's
We're
focus,
focused.
zero in,
We're zeroed in.
sleep training, sleep shaping.
I'm here for sleep talk.
Okay, so Billy has been going through what I thought, he's asleep, what I thought was a regression.
Yeah.
And, you go online and
Let's do a little regression analysis. Go ahead.
so you go online and when you have a baby, everything online is like, oh, it's the 1 week regression, it's the 2 week regression, it's the day 2 regression, it's the 3 week regression. Like every fucking thing's a regression. So there's never not a regression.
The web is so rich with information.
The web will tell you whatever you want to, the web will confirm whatever you want confirmed, be it positive or negative, is what I have found.
It will show you and tell you whatever it is you're thinking. That's the scary part.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, especially when you're trying to do research. So then you get on Reddit and you go down Reddit holes and everyone's like, well, no, it was fine for me. It's like, right, it was fine for you, but no two instances are exactly alike and no two babies are the same.
When we're done with the sleep regression analysis and we get to the social media, how do you discern credible social media content from not so credible? How do you use your critical thinking to figure that out?
Why are you so stuck on this when I have a
I'm not
very
stuck.
good topic?
I'm not stuck. I'm flexible. You want to talk about sleep? We can talk about sleep.
Hold on. My husband's here to ask me what I want to eat. I'll just when? In about 20 minutes. Thank you. So come back next week. Next week we'll talk about social media.
Or stick around and find out what you have for lunch.
It's breakfast here. We're on the West Coast.
I'm on the East Coast.
Okay, back to focusing in. Can you focus in?
I'm
Zero
focused.
in.
I'm focused.
Okay, we're back. I love your sweater. Anyway,
Thank you.
it's very good. I like the pattern.
I put it on especially. Where should I button it? Is it here?
No,
Should I
it was
button
good.
it?
Don't fuss with it. Don't fuss with it.
Don't
Oh,
fuss.
no, that was good actually. Well,
Oh, that was good. Okay, back
that
to the
was good.
fussing.
Fuss it a little bit. That's good.
Okay, fuss and focused.
Great. So listen and hear me. Did you sleep train me?
I did. The only training we did for you was potty training. And there were two methods of potty training. One was when you did produce product on the toilet, we would jump around and say, "Yay, wonderful, wonderful." And then your mother had many wild theories, but one of them was let you run around without diapers.
That's
So
not her theory. I've heard that from other people as well. Childcare professionals have told me that when I want to potty train Billy, just make him naked.
Child care professionals without wall-to-wall carpeting is who you heard that from.
Right.
We didn't do that much, but we just did the celebration thing because that was a lot more fun.
Okay, so back to sleep training. We're in the midst online. There is one big, bad, scary sleep regression that happens when your babies have a cognitive surge at 4 months of age.
Wow.
At 4 months of age, they start being able to recognize you. They're learning a bunch of things. The kind of language things are opening up for them, and the world suddenly presents itself to them in a, oh my God, I'm here way.
Wow.
And so when
Can
that
they
happens,
conjugate verbs?
Not yet,
All right.
but we are working on sign language. So here's the thing. When that happens, they call it a sleep regression because they have a harder time connecting their sleep cycles and going back to sleep for long periods of time because they're so excited by life.
Well, what should we encourage? The sleep or this cognitive surge, which sounds to me like a lot of fun and something that
Well,
should be developed? Why are we inhibiting the cognitive surges?
we're not inhibiting them, but at nighttime, you want them to sleep.
Surge only when appropriate is the message I'm taking away.
Exactly. Appropriate surging. That being said,
I
I was
hate that expression. That being said,
I'm
we're trying
fucking
to focus
tired.
on sleep, and you say stuff like that being said, and then it just triggers me.
Oh my goodness.
All right, I got to take a deep breath. All right, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay. So Billy has been waking up every hour and it's making me a mess. And I get it. He's a newborn, but he's not really that much of a newborn anymore. He's 3 months and 6 days. Technically, 3 months is the end of the newborn phase. 4 months is really the end of it when we hit the cognitive surge. I have noticed that he is a very adaptable baby.
Yeah.
I
What does he
have
adapt to? What's an example of that?
So we do a schedule with him, and the schedule changes as his age changes. And every time we shift the schedule, he's very quick to pick up the new cues and to thrive with the new schedule.
He's
It's also,
thriving. He's thriving while he's surging and adapting.
he hasn't surged yet.
Okay.
People say you can't sleep train a newborn because when they wake up and they cry, it's because they need something. And usually that something is food. So if you're denying your baby food, you're letting them go hungry, blah, blah, blah. But
Can I
I have,
tell you? Can I tell you a story about your grandmother?
is it about sleep training?
It's real. Yes, very much related to what you just said. Your
Was it
about
about denying her food?
your great grandfather, your maternal great grandfather and great grandmother, and your grandmother. So when my mother, your grandmother, was a baby, probably a little older than Billy, my grandfather was a forest ranger, and one of his jobs was going out in the forest and look for fires. And so they had like a a tent that they lived in. And your great grandmother was trying to sleep train, and it wasn't that nuanced back then.
Mhm.
The only training was, "Hi, honey, where are you going?" Iced tea. See, she doesn't ask me what I want for lunch. So back to my story, all they did was ignore babies. When they cried, they say, ignore the crying, because if you go in, then they'll be rewarded for crying, and that'll reinforce that habit. And so my mother, your grandmother, cried and cried and cried and cried. And when they finally gave up and opened the door, the crib was filled with creepy, crawly, woodsy insects and stuff. And that is the punchline to the story.
Well,
Your
that's a reason not to sleep shape.
your great grandfather went from being a forest ranger to being a physician. He changed professions.
So what you made a really good point there. A lot of people think and say if you reward the crying, you're increasing the cry.
Yeah.
And then studies have also been shown that if you let your baby cry it out, you're showing your baby that you aren't there for them. And it creates an unhealthy thing in their brain that makes them insecure, anxious adults. And
So there's no solution. It's a lose-lose.
well, I disagree. I think there's a solution that's kind of halfway in between, but I've been having a really hard time because I have noticed that when I give Billy the opportunity to soothe himself, he's really good at it. I have noticed that when I don't encourage unhealthy sleep habits, the healthy sleep habits really take over, and he's really empowered to do some good sleeping.
Speaking of healthy habits, you should train him to only soothe himself in private, because if he soothes himself in public, he could get arrested
That
later in
is
life.
so inappropriate.
Oh,
Second
sorry.
of all, but I will say this, I am triggered because I don't know if you remember, but I have nothing but unhealthy sleep habits and always have. I'm very
Did
scared.
my Christmas package arrive?
No, focus.
I sent it UPS.
You said it was coming on the 23rd. It's only the 19th.
All right. So I didn't lie yet.
So that was not an urgent need. Anyways, listen,
It's related. The gift is related to sleep, but go ahead.
back to me.
Okay.
I have really negative sleep associations, and I have really strong fear of the night and fear of going to sleep. For my almost my entire life, I have been very scared. And when I think about the word, the sleep,
You used to call Kissy on the
yeah,
phone, and you'd have the phone on your pillow and your head on the phone, and she would talk to you until you fell asleep.
yeah. And I remember one night I was so scared I couldn't leave my room. I was so scared of whatever was out there. I don't know what it was, just this big looming terror. And we were in the Mave courthouse and I was screaming bloody murder. So if we're in the Mave courthouse, it means I'm anywhere between 11 and 14, and I'm scared out of my mind and I'm screaming for help. And in my heart, I was like, someone's going to hear me and someone's going to come help me. And no one ever came.
Was this a are you airing a childhood grievance with your father on public airwaves here?
I might be. I mean, not in an upset way, not in an I'm upset with you way. A majority of my childhood, you were my hero and my savior. Like you made everything safe and secure and fun. But I am saying you and granted, there's a big difference between 11 to 13-year-old and a 3-month old. But when I think about that time, I think about how anxious and scared and insecure I am when it comes to these things. And I wonder if there is some weight to the cry it out causing distress later on in life. That's why I asked, did you guys do any sort of sleep training with me? Because until recently, I needed the TV on all night to sleep, or I'm terrified.
A lot of this is when somebody shares a particular habit that is like you just did. The least helpful thing to say, I think, is that a lot of people um, have that condition where they need to listen to something in order to fall asleep. Your brother needed to listen to a fan, and when we were not on Mave Court, but when we were on at the place next to the golf course.
Which was just hit by a tornado.
That's correct, Scotts Valley, California.
No, right where we lived. That's where the tornado touched down.
I know, right by the little shopping center
Yeah,
that was
at
on the other
Chubby's.
side of the golf course. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that. Um, I needed to listen to NPR, so I listened to not talk radio, but NPR all night long. Then I kind of got over it, but then now I started getting hooked again. I started listening to old radio programs from the 30s and 40s. Um, I forget what some of the names are. One of them was Yukon Jack or something about a Canadian Mountie and his trusty dog that would get into trouble and then fix it by the end of the radio. And then another one was a lot of detective shows and stuff. And then I went from that to Friends. I never watched Friends at all on TV, but when it was on, but I started to listen to it. It's a whole different experience. And then I went to some other things, and then Seinfeld, and then
How long is this list? Because I could probably listen to this list and go to sleep. You've just
touche.
named
Well played.
95 things.
Well played. Well played. I'll interrupt my story now to get back to the topic, which was I don't think we had any sleep training for you except we would let you cry until we thought that it went beyond a reasonable period and something must be upsetting you. And then we would go in. But it was not particularly safe for us to go in. We would go in and give you a bottle and you'd quiet down and you'd suck the bottle and then you'd start to cry and then we would open the door just a crack and you would chuck that bottle at us like we had to fill it up.
But
And
maybe
then
you were asking for it just like that.
so then we would go in and try to soothe you because we didn't, this was back in the dark ages and we didn't know what the self-soothing meant unless it came in a bottle. But we would rub your feet and then you would cry and then you would just stick your foot up and say, just do it, which meant that we had to, just rub your foot.
Hmm.
So those were your first words, just do it.
Good for me.
Yeah. And you had that tone and affect too at the same time.
I will say at the same time as being an incredibly anxious and secure person, I have a psychotic confidence for someone who's so self-loathing.
You are fearless. I've heard people describe you as fearless, which is a good thing to have if that's tempered with judgment and common sense, which you are gaining rapidly in the recent years.
I would say I'm a fearless person with a lot of irrational fears.
Yeah.
So, um, that being said, another triggering segue for you. We'll come up with better segues. Um,
But
when it
I'm so easily triggered, that makes it easy for you?
yeah,
I'm just trying to accommodate.
you're doing great, kid.
Thank you. And I'm staying focused.
You're getting on the track.
Okay.
So maybe you too can be fuckus shaped. Because
Oh,
we don't say trained. Yeah. See what I
focus
did there?
shaped. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're training me. Okay.
So with Billy, I've been told that babies cannot be sleep shaped or sleep trained, but that they do pick up on patterns and they do pick up on routines and they start to adapt to them. So I feel a little gaslit when you tell me that a baby can't be sleep shaped, but they do pick up on routines and they do adapt to them. Does that not seem like the same thing?
Yeah. And back to my question about what internet content do you listen to and what you don't listen to. It's best, I think, to get a spectrum of ideas and just figure out what it means. There is one thing that I think is universally accepted by 99% of pediatricians and good parents. And that is that establishing parameters and boundaries for your kid makes them feel safe.
Mhm.
I like the word shaped a little bit better than trained because it feels like it takes into account the unique nature of the kid. You're shaping them. You've got a training protocol or regimen that you want to try to instill on the child, but you're also at the same time very aware of the uniqueness of your kid, and so you're shaping them. And so I like that part of it. And if if joy in life means that there's a balance of happiness and sadness. Joy doesn't mean that you're always happy. It's a balance. Then then being for the baby, I guess it's being upset once in a while, and then realizing that the parent comes to the rescue allows the baby to self-soothe and develops that skill, allows the baby to problem solve. And is this text message showing up in your
No.
feed?
Not.
You see, it's not my fault. I'm not ADD on my own. It's all of the distractions that come. Get away, get away. Um, so it's the so 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 that part works for me. The baby learns how to self-soothe, problem solve, get hurt once in a while, and then heal a little bit, realize they're okay. But having the confidence of knowing that the backstop is there, the security net is there. I was my one of my many parents when I was a child thought it was a good idea to punish me by sticking me outside in the middle of the night.
Mm.
And talk about scary.
Yeah.
So you're in your room screaming for help, and I am outside
Oh God.
screaming for help in the dark, in the night.
Oh,
And and
I'm sorry. That makes me really upset. I'm so sorry to hear that.
I'm yeah,
I love you.
I love you. I love you too. And so I carried that experience with me when I was raising you. I didn't want those sorts of things to happen to you, and I was successful most of the time and unsuccessful a fair amount of the time. I don't. I remember you being very, very afraid of stuff, like the example of calling Kissy and having her talk you to sleep, or needing to go downstairs but calling Kissy first so she would be on the phone. And I'm not. This is not the cell phone. This is
The
the
house phone.
wireless phone, the wireless landline. But I don't. And the screaming out for help probably came from uh, minor trauma that you experienced that wasn't any of your fault. That was probably generated by your parents. So you and I are trying to break a, talk about great grandparents and grandparents and parents and you and babies. You and I are here on live TV trying to break that cycle. And I think we're doing better generation by generation.
I agree with you. I agree with you 150%. I think you did a great job. And I'm going to do even better. Not that it's a competition, but if it were,
You are definitely doing better. You are a great mom. You are a great mom. And Joe is a great dad.
oh,
And how
thank
can
you.
I tell? Because of all the pictures you send us.
They're pretty cute.
They're pretty cute. Guess what?
What?
I really, really love you.
I love you too.
See you later.
See you later. Don't hang up.